Howdy, friend. Sam Houston here, hoping you're living in high cotton. And if you're lucky enough to be in Texas, I know you're most of the way there. Now enjoy your daily dose of Texas history and Texas pride.
Howdy, friend. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast and your Texas History Roundup for January 14th. In 1836, Lieutenant Colonel James C. Neal wrote General Sam Houston from the Alamo that, quote, "Unless we are reinforced and victualled, we are an easy prey in case of attack," end quote. A few days later, Houston began to question the wisdom of maintaining the garrison at San Antonio. The same day, the first families in South Texas began leaving the area after learning Mexican forces were gathering at the Rio Grande. These and continued evacuations became known as the Runaway Scrape. Also on this day, Houston and George W. Hockley reached Goliad late in the evening after a several-day, 150-mile ride from Washington on the Brazos. There they found a posted appeal from Colonel James W. Fannin, signed as military agent of the General Council, for volunteers to join the expedition to reduce Matamoros. The volunteers were to be paid from the spoils of the expedition. But James Grant had left for Refugio with 200 troops from San Antonio, and Francis Johnson was in San Felipe getting the council's approval for the expedition. In 1942, Camp Hood, named for Confederate General John Bell Hood, was officially activated near Killeen. The first major Army unit, the 893rd Tank Destroyer Battalion, arrived on April 2nd, and the base has been in continual use since then. As many as 100,000 troops have been stationed there. By 1950, it had become a permanent training base called Fort Hood. In 2023, it was renamed Fort Cavazos in honor of General Richard E. Cavazos, a native Texan and the first four-star general in the U.S. Army. Okay, but there was no reason why it should have ever been changed from Fort Hood. That's absolutely ridiculous. In 1865, Governor Pendleton Murrah appealed to the people of Texas to continue to fight in the War for Southern Independence, or the War of Northern Aggression, by putting aside personal ambitions and making the necessary sacrifices. Even after General Robert E. Lee's surrender in April, Murrah urged citizens to resist, but with Union forces about to occupy the state in early June, he left Lieutenant Governor Fletcher Stockdale in charge and fled to Mexico, where he died in Monterey on August 4th, 1865. In 1963, the United States and Mexico ratified a treaty that resolved the long-standing dispute over about 600 acres of land along the Rio Grande at El Paso. International law holds that for gradual natural changes in a river's course, the boundary remains the river's center line. The river had gradually shifted south since the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, but in 1864, a severe flood had caused the river to cut a new channel that moved about 600 acres to the north side of the river. In the agreement, Mexico was awarded 437 acres of disputed area, and the United States, or Texas, received 193 acres, and they agreed to share the cost of rechanneling the river. Interesting. In 1985, former Texas Governor Robert Allen Shivers passed away. As lieutenant governor, Shivers became governor in July 1949 when Governor Buford Jester died. Shivers held the office for more than 7 years, being elected for 3 full terms. Beyond his opposition to a desegregation during his administration, he is known for defending the state's ownership of the Tidelands against the Harry S. Truman administration. This led to his break with the Democratic Party, resulting in the state's electoral votes being delivered to Dwight Eisenhower in the 1952 national election. In 1953, the U.S. Congress approved the state's claim to the Tidelands, therefore upholding Texas's claim of the Gulf Coast out to 3 leagues, which is a little over 10 miles. See, this goes to the whole idea of sovereignty. Remember, the states created the federal government. The federal government has no sovereignty. Only the states have the sovereignty, and the states only delegate powers to the federal government, powers that they can take back at any time. The federal government only exists at the pleasure of the states. Always remember that. All right, that was your Texas History Roundup for January 14th. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you back here on the next one. All right, you take care.
Well, there you have it. If you like our podcast, check us out at feedbandit.com. There you'll find awesome Texas First outdoors gear and apparel. Your purchase helps support the Bandits and keeps this podcast on the air, fighting for you and for Texas. Remember, preserve the tradition, protect the legacy. Until next time.